undergo a bit of topping up themselves. Well, we are at Sears Point Raceway, Sonoma Raceway, as it is, I think, being renamed after a decade with title sponsor from Infineon, when it was known as Infineon Raceway. Habitually, it is in Sears Point, literally in California, and as a result, that's what the track was always known as. Here's Tom Chilton's Ford, and as I talked about a little earlier, the 15-minute repair time, it is like a sprint. The whistle blows and everybody leaps into action. They know what they're planning to do with that flapping rear bumper. They will have to pump in fuel, and this will be exactly measured. There's Pepe Oriola on the phone back home explaining what happened to his car. Pepe, what happened to your car? You can see an all-white new front end on his car. The teams travel in sea freight containers, 40-foot containers. Takes the car, all the spares, all the tools. So one container per car. Some teams then will have one, some two or three. And they carry a limited number of spares, as many as they can possibly fit in humanly. And they all go by sea, which is why we've had quite a long layoff between the races in Europe, then the races in Brazil 6 weeks ago, to come up from Curitiba, Brazil, through the Panama Canal and up the west coast to San Francisco. Cars then trucked up here, containers opened, and hey presto, not vintage cars or antique furniture, mysteries of the Orient or anything of the same. Out came their cars. We're here at Special Tuning. Daryl O'Young, Hong Kong Chinese, who spent a lot of time in the Bay Area and learned how to drive here at the Jim Russell Driving School. Well, we're going to have a new influence in the championship from the next race weekend. We will be joined by Honda. Rounds 19 and 20 will take place in Suzuka 4 weeks from now, and a factory Honda team will appear for the first time. Well, this then is the first look at the brand new Honda Civic, which will debut in Suzuka. It will be driven by Thiago Monteiro, and he'll be joined in 2013 by Gabriele Tarquini, and we believe one other driver. Testing has already started in Europe. They've done over 1,000 miles of mileage, and the design and build of the car got the green light in February this year. Let's catch up with Thiago Monteiro at the test at Vallelunga outside Rome in Italy. Find out what he thought of his new baby.
Watching your new car as of Japan. Very exciting moments for you. But before we talk about that, let's cast our back 130 races to when you began with SEAT. Every race in the World Touring Cars with this mark.
Yeah, it's a big milestone, isn't it? I mean, 130 races seems a big number. Obviously, it's been 5 years and a half with the brand. Made a lot of friends, a lot of people. Really good moments. So it's a kind of an emotional moment at the same time, you know. But life goes on, and you have to look at the future. And my future is with Japan and with Honda. So very excited about that. Obviously, I want to finish on a high. I did a very good first race, I would say. Now I'm starting fourth, which is more or less sixth actually, because the BMWs at the start are going to be flying. But anyway, keep fighting. One more race. I really want to give that present to my mechanics and to everybody back at home as well. So we'll keep fighting until the end and getting ready for the new challenge ahead.
Yeah, let's just talk quickly about it. You've had a lot of seat time already in the Honda. You've done a lot of testing. How does it feel? How does it compare to what you're used to?
It's really a different car, a different philosophy. Very difficult to compare, actually. We have a complete different design of the car, of the damping, of the suspension. It gives a different feeling to the driver. We've done a lot of testing, it's true, but we want more. We always feel that we want more anyway. So we're going to use the next 3 races as a testing program, really, and to see where we are compared to our opponents. But it was interesting to drive the Honda and then come back to the SEAT. and you can understand a bit more the positive points and the negative points. And now we got to keep working. We have the whole winter now, 3 races plus the whole winter test to get 2013 ready.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
He's a really charming guy, Tiago, ex-Grand Prix driver, but we won't hold that against him. And here is his teammate for 2013, Gabriele Tarquini, and he too is already in the testing program with Honda. Well, the great thing about working in this paddock is that you might change teams like NASCAR. You might turn up one year in a different number and a different coloured outfit, but all your friends from the years before, they're all still there. Some of them might be working for the same team, some for other different teams, but it is a big family atmosphere, and I'm sure that Tiago and Gabriele will certainly not feel themselves ostracised by anybody just because they happen to have a different logo on their chest.
Japan quality. Yokohama. Your tire.
Delivering Formula One to the world. That's the speed of yellow. DHL Express. Excellence simply delivered.
ATS high-tech wheels, world champions with Chevrolet.
Every day is a new challenge, an opportunity to make a difference. Since 2005, FIFA has supported over 200 social development programs. FIFA's Football for Hope initiative is helping to change lives and bring hope through the power of football.
Follow the score of your favorite team live and find the latest results and features with Eurosport's Live Score.
With Eurosport.com's free application available on tablets and smartphones, gain access to all the articles and videos from Eurosport.com, plus get the latest news in real time. Check out the latest results, fixtures and tables, and follow your favorite sports events live.
The WTCC is brought to you by Euronics, best of electronics.
Repair time continues, but cars are already leaving pit road to head onto the grid for race 2 here in Sonoma. The Fords of James Nash and Tom Chilton go through shot. The BMW Stefano D'Aste with the red, white and green, and Tom Coronel follows him. The repair car of Pepe Oriola. So clearly it wasn't a terminal engine problem that delayed him. You can see Tom Boardman's black and white STR car. Well, let's get down to pit road and see if we can catch up with Gabriele Tarquini.
Just before Gabriele jumps into the car, Gabriele, we're going to take you back down to the start of race 1. What exactly happened from your perspective?
Well, I take a really good start outside, but I came inside on the second corner. but I think I touched the wheel on menu, and I think my front suspension was not very happy, and it was not right. I had the steering wheel a little bit bent, so it was a very difficult race to me, but fortunately I can finish the race.
So the car didn't feel very good. You've got it sorted now for race 2?
Yeah, car is good. Now my starting position is not as good as the first one, but I try to score some points.
Thank you very much.
Gabriele Tarquini will start in his expected position, 9th on the grid. 2 changes, though, to the race 2 grid lineup. Pepe Oriola will start at the back of the grid, as will James Nash. Now, neither car finished the race, but normally, unless you take the car out to Parc Fermé, you're allowed to go back to your normal grid position. We must therefore assume, although I couldn't see it down below us, that James Nash and Pepe Oriola's car were being worked on outside of Parc Fermé conditions. Now, the 15-minute repair time is not just time in which to repair the car. The time ends when the pit lane exit closes. And that means that the cars, if you want to start from your position on the grid, have to be out of the pit lane before the 15 minutes is up. So we say 15-minute repair time. What we mean is probably about 13.5-minute repair time, and then you've got to drop the car off its jacks, get off the tyre warmers, and allow the driver some time to get out before the red light closes pit exit. So when we say 15-minute repair time, we're being generous to the teams, because that's not quite what they have. James Nash's car then will end on the final row of the grid, actually, penultimate row of the grid. He'll start 22nd, Pepe Oriola behind him 23rd. So a further little insult added to injury there for James Nash. The faster of the 2 Aeon Ford Focuses in qualifying. Unfortunately, he will now start right at the back of the grid. We may just get a quick word with the chief engineer at Ford in a moment. I saw Ben having a little bit of a hover. Gabriele Tarquini coming through the chicane and heading to the grid. And again, one of the things that the team will have done is responded to his thoughts over the radio and checked the alignment of his car's wheels to make sure that it is going straight in front. Well, Alan Cole is the team manager at Aeon Team Ford. As you see, Ben is down there with him. So let's find out what was the issue with James Nash's Ford Focus.
We saw in the repair time plenty of work on Pepe Oriola's car to place him at the back of the grid, but James Nash is also on the final road. Alan Cole explaining a little bit about what happened to him on the final couple of laps there.
But we didn't finish the race. Somebody went off in front of James. The air filter swallowed a hell of a lot of rubbish. It clogged up the filter. The engine just started to go slower and slower and slower. There's so much dirt in the filter. And the amount of time it takes to change that and get it out, we had to pull it out of Parc Fermé. So we had to pull out Parc Fermé, hence start to the back.
It was slightly disappointing race 1, considering actually the pace is looking a lot better.
The pace is a lot better. James goes on for a good points finish. It's what we've always set out to do this year. Qualifying, trying to get through to Q2 and score points. That's what we look out to. And we had a good chance to score some good points. The pace has come back in the car. Just hasn't worked out. That's motor racing. You think it's all going well, and suddenly something bites you.
Thanks so much, Alan.
Cheers.
Alan is overseeing the engineering side of the project. The team Arena, owned by, run by Mike Earl, former Grand Prix team boss. There with the white shades on, you can see Skippy, James Nash's engineer. He'll be overseeing that car and hoping to talk James through from the back of the grid to a position slightly more reflecting the pace that the new Ford Focus has.
Additives and motor oils made in Germany. Liqui Moly.
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far. Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry. Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough.
Delivering Manchester United to the world. That's the speed of yellow. DHL Express. Excellence simply delivered.
ATS high-tech wheels, world champions with Chevrolet.
your favourite events from Eurosport and Eurosport 2 are also available on Eurosport Player. The multi-channel function allows you to watch Eurosport, Eurosport 2 and Eurosport News at the same time. Additional live coverage on the bonus channels, plus an extensive on-demand library lets you watch what you want, when you want. Eurosport Player, the best way to watch sport wherever you are. To find out more, go to eurosportplayer.com.
Liqui Moly. Additives and motor oils made in Germany.
Out of the shadows, nurtured by Europe's biggest clubs, now is their chance in a knockout competition of 24 teams, showcasing the next generation of football. Now is their time to step out of the shadows and into the spotlight. The Next Gen Series, Wednesday at 1900 with Inter Milan against Dortmund, live on Eurosport.
Japan quality. Yokohama, your tire.
In North America, good for everybody involved. Flags of many nations. Often you forget just how many different nationalities there are on this grid until you see all the flags. Italy, Morocco, Germany and Portugal represented in the first four drivers. Stefano D'Asti, Mehdi Benani, Franz Engsler and Thiago Montero. They're rows 1 and 2 of the grid. And there's more nationalities on row 3 and 4 as well. We've got the UK, Hungary and France represented by Alex McDowell, Norbert Mikulits, Rob Huff and Ivan Muller. They are just 7 of about a dozen nations. Italy's Gabriele Tarquini, Switzerland's Alain Menu, Italy's Alberto Cicchi and Russia's Alexei Dudicalo will line up 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. From China, Charles Eng. From Spain, from Catalan indeed, Catalunya, Fernando Monche. Another Chinese, Daryl Young, 15th. 2 more Brits and then a Dutchman, Tom Coronel, in 18th. The first American to race in the World Touring Car Championship, Rob Holland, lines up 19th, ahead of James Nash, and Catalan driver Pepe Oriola from Barcelona in Spain will have the last spot on the grid, and we'll hope that his car, as James Nash will doubtless be hoping as well, actually keeps running all the way through. They were not victims of damage or incident directly, but indirectly that caused them to retire. Alexei Dudicalo's car will be a racer tape special, adding a few more grams and hopefully holding on the front spoiler. The Russian starts 12th on the race 2 grid, as he did in race 1. Made it through into the top 12 in qualifying 1, through into Q2, but the car was not fit to be driven, so he didn't get a chance to set a Q2 time, resigning himself to 12th for both races. 11th on both grids alongside him. Here's the number 16 car of Alberto Cicchi. It's one of the better qualifying performances of the young Italian. Races for Roal Motorsport, who is 11th in qualifying. His teammate, vastly more experienced Tom Coronel, somehow all at sea in his car in qualifying and free practice. Best he could post was 20th time, and he thought actually he was doing quite well to get that out of the car. And then drove up firmly into the top 10 in race 1. Here's a man who was on pole for race 1, Switzerland's Alain Menu. This is the way that qualifying works. 12 go through, but it's the top 10 after Q2 that are reversed for the race 2 grid. So if you are fastest of all, you get pole and 10th place in race 1 and race 2. And if you're 10th, you get 10th place and pole for race 2. Gabriele Tarquini, who was on the outside front row at the start of race 1, will again be alongside Alain Menu on the 5th row of the grid for race 2. It's a standing start, and hopefully they will have found somewhere to slot into a queue and not be wheel to wheel at the top of the hill at turn 2 again this time. Contact that definitely caused problems for Tarquini, and you question whether that bump and banging might have had something to do with the power steering failure on Alain Menu's car a few laps into the race. It may be entirely unrelated, but there is always, with any incident, any bump or brush on a race car, any bang or thump, that there might be collateral damage that appears later on. Race 1 winner, Ivan Muller, beg your pardon, in the number 1 car. He will start in 7th position. And alongside him on the grid in 8th position, alongside him on the grid in 7th position will be Rob Huff. Really cannot subtract to save my life. But it's bright and sunny here in Northern California. Wherever you are watching the FIA World Touring Car Championship, if it's the dead of night or fiendishly early in the morning, don't worry, I'm sure your time will come. As we head to Japan, the clocks will swing round in the opposite direction, and it'll be even earlier, stroke later, stroke more sensible time of day for other audiences, and China and Macau as well. For a lot of Europe will be late nights and early mornings, and for other markets around the world that watch the World Touring Car Championships will be an awful lot more sensible time of day. 6th on the grid, Norbert Mikulits. And again, the quietly spoken ex-computer gamer won online championships and was then offered a drive in a Renault Clio in his native Hungary. That turned into a full-time drive, which became a full-time real car racing career, as opposed to an online virtual race car career. Alex McDowell, his father before him, was a British touring car driver. There he is in the door of the car. And Alex, former winner of the independent category in the British Touring Car Championship, stepping up to the world stage with Bamboo Engineering, this British-based team, run out of workshops at Silverstone, England, the home of the British Grand Prix. And their 2-car team also encompasses Rob Holland, the US driver on the grid. The Chevy Cruze is identical, apart from colour, to the RML factory-run cars, the blue and white Chevy Cruzes. Well, in the red shirt on the right-hand side, the bespectacled figure of Arnaud Elizagare. And he is Thiago Montero's long-time race engineer. He's been engineering Thiago for, I guess, the last 4 years or so in SEAT. And I would be very surprised if he does not move on with Thiago Montero to the Honda program. Racing drivers, when they get an engineer that they can really work with, will go to very great lengths to try and keep that relationship alive. It's a very important symbiosis. Franz Engsler lies 3rd on the grid. Franz Engsler, another contender in the Yokohama Independence Trophy battle. And in front of him on the grid, 2 of his category rivals. Engsler lies in 5th position in the Yokohama drivers battle, behind McDowell, Daste, Oriola and Mikulits. And of those, Daste sits on pole position. Mehdi Benani, not too far behind Franz Engsler, 7th in the standings, the Moroccan driver, but 2nd on the grid here. I wonder if this could turn into a very big weekend for him. There's allegiance to the Marrakesh Grand Prix, as well as the family construction concern. And the streets of Marrakesh have twice played host to very exciting World Touring Car races. The sun is definitely coming out. Things are looking an awful lot more bright and smiley down on the grid. Perhaps a bead of sweat as well. Here is our pole position man then, Stefano Daste. In a Vika Sport BMW, he's already once in his career won the Yokohama Independent Trophy crown. With double points going for the races in Macau at the season finale. Again, expect up to half a dozen drivers to be in contention for the Yokohama Trophy at the end of the season in the final 2 races. And definitely Daste bound to be among them.
Japan quality. Yokohama. Your tire.
Additives and motor oils made in Germany. Liqui Moly.
The fastest one-make series in the world.
the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo goes back on track. Dynamic and emotive racing with the Gallardo Super Trofeo in Nürburgring, September 22nd to 23rd. On air on Eurosport.
The road to freedom. Japan quality. Yokohama, your tire.
Liqui Moly. Additives and motor oils made in Germany.
The WTCC is brought to you by Euronics, best of electronics.
Ready to rumble. Officials, teams, fans, engineers, family members, well-wishers, watch on as the grid rolls away here in Sonoma, ready for the start of round 18 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. And there's a problem at the back of the grid. Now, that was just in front of Pepe Oriola, which means it is America's Rob Holland who has failed to get his Bamboo Engineering Chevy Cruze moving. He is now rolling off the grid, though, so he will be able to take up his grid position on the penultimate row, and it will be a standing start. There's his teammate Alex McDowell, the red and white Bamboo Engineering Chevrolet, as we ride on board with Norbert Mikulits. Drivers weaving the wheel backwards and forwards. The tyres have come out of tyre warmers. They'll be the rubber temperature, the core temperature of the tyre will be around 90 degrees, 94, 95 perhaps. And they will try and keep as much of that heat as possible. Weaving doesn't do a great deal. What really keeps the heat in is using the brake pedal hard. You build heat in the brakes, that transfers through to the metal of the tyre, and that helps keep the temperature of the air inside the tyre up, and that helps keeps the temperature of the carcass in the tyre up. Little bit of weaving, drivers just can't resist, although they all know, as the engineers insist on telling them, that the use of the brake is much more important. There is your pole man, the red and white and green car of Stefano D'Aste, our leading Yokohama Independent Trophy contenders. Norbert Mikulits claimed his 4th win in the series. There's Arnaud Elizagare, the race engineer for Thiago Monteiro. Thiago's career as a SEAT driver finishes 13 laps. Cars working their way through, and it'll be particularly bated breath on lap 1 from the Vickers Sport team. You just saw the race engineer for Stefano D'Aste on the pit wall. Nervous times for the engineers because, of course, they've done all they can do. Nervous times for the drivers too, and that gets the adrenaline and the heart pumping, and that focuses every nerve and sharpens every sinew, and that's what you need to get a good start and a good race in these cars. You need that adrenaline coursing through the veins. It's like overclocking an old computer chip. It gets the grey matter working. It gets that internal processor right up to speed, ready for the frantic action. It's not just enough to be quick. You've got to have spatial awareness in this game as well. That's what separates the good from the merely pedestrian, being able to place your car with the knowledge of those around you. These racing drivers, the actual physical process of getting around the circuit probably takes no more effort than for you or I or these fans to drive down the highway. The rest of the mental processor is thinking, planning, strategizing, analyzing what the car is telling them, working out what the tires are doing, what the temperatures are doing, and what their rivals are doing and where they are. Our cars are coming to the grid for the 2nd time here in Sonoma, and the tension is palpable down in pit road. The last cars come to the grid. We are complete and ready as James Nash rolls to a halt in his Ford Focus. Everybody is on the grid. Oriola is a little behind his grid spot, but we get ready for the start of this race. The red lights will go on, and very quickly off an enormously quick change. Stefano D'Aste gets away well. Dreadful start from fourth on the grid by Thiago Montero, and inside him comes the blue car of Yvan Muller. Great start by Muller. His teammates Rob Huff and Alain Menu have been separated from the Frenchman by at least 2 or 3 cars. Muller is up to 5th out of turn 1 and into turn 2. And another exceptional start by the Frenchman. Gabriele Tarquini normally rockets off the grid. He did not make a good getaway that time. The quick change of lights caught out almost everyone. And Muller looking inside. Norbert Mikulits couldn't quite go past him into turn 5. He had a look in 4 over the brow, dropping down into turn 6. Norby's got to keep it tight. Huff is inside Montero, and Thiago can't defend that on the inside. Good, ambitious move from Huff on the opening lap. That was crucial. Can't let Muller escape. Can't let Muller build up an advantage. It's not just about who's in front, it's about where your teammates are as well. And D'Aste spins, chasing the throttle too fast on cold tyres out of turn 7. Loops it round as the turbo on the engine chimed in and gave him full boost when he didn't need it, and D'Aste drops right down the order. Tom Chilton, Pepe Oriola alongside him. Rob Holland bringing up the back of the field, and that means Mehdi Benani of Morocco leads the race from Franz Engstler, but ominously already up to 3rd place, and we're not even at the end of lap 1, is Yvan Muller, the race 1 winner. There he is with the red, white and blue of France on the roof of his blue Chevrolet. Huff is 4th, Mikulits 5th, Montero defending against McDowell, replaying their battle earlier in the race. Tarquini up the inside though of the Bamboo Engineering Chevrolet, and he'll drift out wide to the pit wall, and McDowell is shuffled down a position. Across the line they come. Benani leads up the hill. Tarquini putting in a pass on teammate Montero. They've raced together in Seats for a number of years, get on very well. One speaks Portuguese, the other Italian. Their common language, obviously, therefore, is French, in which they converse very freely all the time. Hard left and then hard right over 3A, cresting the rise, tail of the car getting floaty, down into turn 4, dropping steeply downhill. Through 5, on board in 3rd place with Muller. Engstler in front will offer little resistance. He wants the Yokohama Independence Trophy, does not want to get tagged into a spin by Muller, who got his nose out of the way early on. Benani leads, and Monche is out, and he's gone off at the carousel. He's just gone straight past the turning point and sailed off into the dirt. Benani leads from Engstler. Now, as the race progresses, the rear-drive BMWs should progress faster. Monche drifted off wide there. In fact, that was down the hill out of 2, wasn't it? And into the wall hard. The rear-drive BMWs should balance the wear on the tyres better. But is it hot enough to really rein in these Chevrolet Cruises? It's the best chassis in the World Touring Car Championship, the Chevy Cruise, and certainly doesn't lack anything in the engine department either. Altogether, it is an awesome package. It's the single best Super 2000 chassis in the business, and Yvan Muller and Rob Huff among the best drivers in the game. They are really exploiting this car's advantages, and Mehdi Benani and Franz Engstler are out front, but for how long? Checking progress further down the order, up to 10th spot already. Tom Coronel from 20th on the grid. Another flying start by the Dutchman. Muller in 3rd place, harassing Engstler. Now, Engstler doesn't want to score 0 here. A good result, even if it means a good result in front of him for Benani, is worth its weight in gold to Franz Engstler. And so, if he needs to, he will allow Muller and Huff to go through, and Mikulits, because it doesn't matter where you finish. If you're the top Yokohama Trophy driver, you still get maximum points. Down through the carousel. Benani and Engstler, just for a moment, already on lap 3, looking as though they may start to stretch an advantage over the Chevys. Fastest man last lap is this man, Norbert Mikulits. Oh no, it's the man in front of us, Norbert Mikulits. As we go inside with Gabriele Tarquini, finally puts the pass on Thiago Montero. Again, the Chevy and the tight and twisty stuff all over the back of the BMWs. The constant radius carousel cripples the front-wheel drive cars. They just struggle so much with that right front tyre temperature. Through the twisty switchbacks, the BMW doesn't have anything extra to offer. What Engstler in second place now must do, the veteran German who's 50 years old and counting, is hold off Muller in the braking areas and hope that Mikulits in that orange and black BMW make life tough for the Chevy duo right in front of us now. That will relieve some of the pressure on that man in front of us, Franz Engstler. Let's take a look here at Thiago Monteiro and Gabriele Tarquini dicing between 7 and 7A. Tarquini got inside. And here's how it happened. Out of the carousel, got a great run down the hill. Tugs up on the inside of Monteiro and waits for the Portuguese to go for the break. And then carries the speed right up to the apex. A real block pass, parked it on the exit, didn't have the speed. But Monteiro had no way of getting back around it. Abandoned car, Fernando Monche there as a corner marker. Waved yellow still there. Since he may have to remain there for a while. It's a difficult position to get a recovery vehicle down to, without having to use the racetrack to do it. Mehdi Benani and Franz Engstler still leading. Benani with the red of Morocco on the roof. Engstler with the black, red and gold of Germany on his roof. BMW's first and second. Chevy Cruises third and fourth. Ivan Muller and Rob Huff in that order in front of us as we ride with Norbert Mikulits. The closing in fast behind him. Correct that. Closed in fast behind him is the red and white Seat Gabriele Tarquini. Oh, and off is Benani. And just in that fast set of sweepers down from turn 7, you've got to have absolute confidence in the chassis. You must not, especially in a rear-wheel drive car, change your mind and flinch on the throttle. Benani carried too much speed and had to change his mind, and that's what happens. You shift the weight in a rear drive car, load it up in a corner, and it takes you off backwards. You don't have the option that a front drive car has of keeping your foot in it. There is the protein, Benani's car in the barrier. They have lost the lead and potentially a win. Now then, here comes Alain Menu. The poleman in race 1, sidelined by power steering issues. He's trying to get by Thiago Monteiro for 6th position. Menu has not made as quick progress up the order at the start as his teammates. He got shuffled back a little bit in the first corner kerfuffling. But now, with cars line astern, he can exploit the grip and the handling, but not in that yellow flag zone. And Benani's car has recovered from the side of the track, but he is down, parked and out of the car as Engstler loops out in the carousel, trying to keep the speed up, and he's lost the lead of the independence category as well. Not just the overall lead, which is now held by Ivan Muller, up into third place, or in third place now, and into the lead of the Yokohama Trophy, Norbert Mikulits. Your 1-2-3 is the same as the 1-2-3 at the end of race 1, and Engstler got in a little late, tried to modulate the throttle, tried not to get the power on too early, which would have spun him out, and as a result, Ivan Muller was left with almost nowhere to go. On board Muller, over the brow, Engstler's a little right of centre, Muller hard left of centre. Muller put the moves on him there. Seeing it from on board, Muller was lunging for the inside over the brow. There's his girlfriend. I tell you what, the stewards will be having a look at that. Safety car is out. Mehdi Benani's car is abandoned at the chicane. Ivan Muller has the lead of the race, but I question for how long. He put a move in on Engstler that took the German driver out of the race. That is certainly not a case of no harm, no foul. Benani caught out, I'm afraid, by the circuit and his inexperience of it. Still just carried too much speed down the run from 7, and in corner 8 it's, well, in fact not even before he got to corner 8, as he got into the first of the sweepers, it spat him off. Well, safety car is out, on board with Gabriele Tarquini, and the leader Ivan Muller will climb the hill and be picked up by the safety car. Michelle Seaman of Chevrolet. And the Chevy team watching progress with interest, as are the Engstler crew. Let's take a look again. Well, Franz Engstler on a decent racing line. Muller gets into him from behind. NASCAR fans will understand the phrase, push to pass. That didn't look that friendly from me. And again, looking from on board, well, Muller leaves Engstler nowhere to go. Engstler had Muller alongside. Really, there was no chance that they were both going to get away without contact there, and Muller will have known it. He's a hardened touring car professional. Well, there's the new boss of Chevrolet, wearing the gold bow tie. Now, this is a tradition with the Chevy team. When they qualify on pole for race day, they wear the bow tie, and of course, US fans will know exactly what the bow tie means for Chevrolet. It is the Chevy logo, the nickname for it. And in this case, it is a genuine bow tie. Gold, of course. Tarquini, Montero, Menu in 6th, McDowell in 7th, ahead of Boardman. Coronel now up to 9th place. He finished race 1 in 8th, of course. Darrell Young, Tom Chilton's Ford goes through. James Nash's Ford as well, ahead of Rob Holland. Nash finding no pace in his car. I think it might be time to recover Fernando Monche's car from just inside the apex curve as well at turn 4. If you get it wrong going down the hill there and make contact with somebody, they could find his car very easily. Bernani's car was parked just there and still is. Let's have a look at Huff and Muller under braking into the chicane. Rob Huff not actually having a run at Muller there, but certainly the Frenchman getting on the brakes marginally faster. Well, Muller just having to get a little slow there down into the chicane. Rob Huff getting caught out. Maybe a couple of laps behind the safety car. Race distance has clicked up 1 lap to 14. May now go up to 15 laps, getting a tow rope on Mehdi Bernani's car. There is the Moroccan driver behind the barriers. Fernando Monche with nothing much to do about his car as well. They are going to have to rescue that, I think, now. The safety car is out. Look where it's parked. Okay, not on the racing line, inside the racing line, but it doesn't take too much of a guess to imagine what might happen if somebody got loose over the hill at 3A and got into a bit of a tank slapper. Well, the stewards will investigate Ivan Muller's incident with Franz Engstler, and also race control saying that Fernando Monche's car will remain in its current position. So the lights will go out on the safety car as he exits turn 8A and starts the run down to turn 9. And we will go green at the end of this one. So there is Monche's car inside turn 4. It's got quite dramatically down the hill here, don't you? A lot of elevation change here. Good 6 stories between the highest point and the lowest. It's one of the features that the drivers were delighted to find about this Sears Point Raceway. 2 or 3 of them had ever been here before in any way, shape or form. And of the drivers, Charles Eng and fellow Chinese driver Darrell Young had both done racing driver courses here, so they knew the course. Nobody else among the drivers had ever been here before. So they were thrilled to come out and discover just what an undulating, sinuous driving challenge it really is. Next to whom I have to say is our safety car driver Bruno. He's been enjoying the Camaro this weekend. Gives a good demonstration lap as well. Lights are off on the safety car then, and he will accelerate away as Ivan Muller, the race leader, brings the field under control. Back to the start-finish line where he will see the green flag. So they're on lap 7 of a now 15-lap encounter. 8 green flag laps, everything crossed. Top 3 remain as they were in race 1. Gabriele Tarquini in 4th position ahead of Seat rival Thiago Montero, and then Alan Menu in 6th. Here we go. Go, go, go. We are green once more, racing across the stripe. Ivan Muller leads the restarted race from Rob Huff. Third place is Norbert Mikulits from Tarquini. Dropping back, though, is Montero. Did not get a good restart. He's got Menu all over him with the red roof. Drive-through penalty for the world champion. I have to say, I'm not at all surprised. Ivan Muller put himself on the inside of Franz Engstler, knowing that the veteran German had nowhere to go on board with Tom Coronel. At the moment, Coronel is in 9th, and Muller's drive-through will promote him to 8th place, but he'll want to make ground up on his own. He's behind the black car of Tom Boardman, as everybody else filters downhill from 4 through 5. Lockups from Muller and Huff. Well, were Muller to finish 1-2 ahead of Huff, the gap would have opened up to 32 at the head of the field as Charles Eng tries to go around the outside of Alberto Cerchi, and it looks like Daryl O'Young was coming back inside him. However, if Muller takes his drive-through and drops down the field and Huff were to win it, as Thiago Montero retakes the position from Menu in 5th, what will be 4th, as Coronel bounces over the curves in front of Tom Boardman. Coronel has picked up a place to finish by thought. If Muller drops out and Huff wins, they will leave here tied on points. So Muller's moment of desperation may have cost him far more than it could have gained him. His battle was not with Engstler. His battle was with Huff. And it would have certainly served him to have remembered that. Huff, however, may have trouble of his own. But if Muller doesn't win, Huff will worry less about the presence of Mikulits. Muller leads as he comes across the line. This time he will be notified of the drive-through. There in the starter's tower, everybody being shown the drive-through board. McDowell challenging Montero. Montero with the black and white. McDowell with the Union flag of Great Britain on the roof of his red and white Cruise. And here comes Coronel, the number 15. The McGregor car looking all over the back of Alex McDowell. And again, McDowell, while he'll want an overall position, it's vital that he finishes strongly in the Yokohama Trophy chase. Mikulits leads that. McDowell currently 2nd place point scorer among the independents. Ivan Muller pulling away fast from Rob Huff. He's just hit the fastest race lap. Coronel on the outside. Boardman up inside, pushing. Coronel gets a wriggle on. Has to get off the throttle, just breathe it through the corner to survive. Boardman couldn't capitalise. And now he's got Engstler behind. Boardman and Engstler, both Yokohama Trophy rivals, as is Daste, who of course started at the front of the grid as well and looped it off early on in the race. So recovering drives from Daste and Engstler. They are both just ahead of Pepe Oriola, who's in front of them in points. Whoa, Daste hops the curbs on the inside. NASCARs have to really hit the curb hard there at 8A, two-wheeling as they run down to the drop on the outside of the chicane that our touring cars are using. The World Touring Car Championships, their cars don't tend to like the curbs quite that much. They're not as soft as a Sprint Cup car would be around here. Well, Ivan Muller has 3 laps in which he must serve his drive-through penalty. This is now the 2nd of them he has started. And has Muller come down pit road? Yes, the leader is on pit road. The world champion is taking his drive-through. And there he is. Ivan Muller drops out of the points. He is stone last behind everybody. And that is a very, very tough break for Ivan Muller. But he brought it on himself. Put a move on Franz Engstler that was at best questionable and at worst cynical. And that opens the field up for Rob Huff. However, it is not cut and dried for Huff. Mikulits in 2nd place is right with him. Tarquini less than a second behind. That's your 1, 2, 3. Mikulits, the orange and black BMW, can sense the opportunity to win a race in the USA. This is a racetrack he will doubtless have played in racing games in his former career as a champion online gamer before he became a real race driver. To race it and to win it among the best touring car drivers on the planet would be something very special for Norbert Mikulits. his first ever time in the USA, never mind as a driver of any kind. And that would be a very special day. 2 podium finishes he'd certainly take, but a top step, that would be a day to tell your grandchildren about. Rob Huff leads for the moment, Mikulec second, Tarquini third. That is your podium, unless something goes wrong. Menu, 1.8 seconds back from Tarquini in 4th place. And he's got trouble from Montero and McDowell and Coronel and Boardman and Engstler and Daste and Oriola and Charles Eng and Alberto Cecchi and Daryl O'Young and Tom Chilton all together. Behind the lead trio, there's a battle for 4th, and then for 6th down to 12th, and then scratch that, 6th down to 15th. It's one enormous scrapping nest of hornets. Ooh, little weave as he dropped over the brow there from Norbert Mikulec. And he is in the most difficult position of this trio. Rob Huff only has to keep his line tight and defend against Mikulec. In 3rd place, Tarquini can do whatever he likes. He can drift out wide and cut in late. He can go in deep and try and drift away on the exit. He can harass and harangue Mikulec. Mikulec, the Hungarian, has got to try and attack while similarly not leaving the door open for Gabriele Tarquini. There's Peter Huff, Rob's dad. Incidentally, hello to everybody watching in Cambridgeshire this evening. Peter says hello. I've got to say hi to his wife and daughter Franny as well. Sorry he hasn't got to the Apple Store, Franny. Rob Huff leads from Norbert Mikulec and Gabriele Tarquini. And is this developing into a 2-horse race? Tarquini, with 4 laps to go, may just be preserving his tyres for a moment or two to have something to scramble with in the last 2-minute countdown. Dowell's on his own now, but look at this battle. Boardman with Daste in front of Engstler. Change of place there on the last lap. That's 8th, 9th and 10th, and a big slide there from Charles Eng. Came here and learned his racecraft at the Jim Russell School when he was at SFU in the city, and right behind him, the only other man with prior knowledge of the circuit, Daryl O'Young, the Chinese driver on the outside in the STR Seat Leon. Cuts back late. Ooh, and that's going to allow Tom Chilton to have a run at him. Battle there is for 13th, 14th, 15th. Well, Darrell spent a lot of time in the Bay Area, and he did his initial racing driver, got his first license here at Sears Point. So these two guys with experience of racing. Charles Eng did a racing course as well, drove Formula Renault single-seaters here. There's still a racing school here as well at the Sears Point Raceway. I'm sure a lot of young drivers from the Bay Area have and will continue to experience that in everything from karts up to top-line single-seaters and high-powered supercars. In front of this battle, Pepe Oriola in 11th is starting to pull away. Charles Eng trailing the bumper on his Engstler BMW. And the battle for the lead closer than ever. Rob Huff in front of Norbert Mikulec, but by inches. Through the tight twisters and out of corner 8 down to 9. And Huff's tyres, the front of his car will be doing all the work. It'll be braking, it'll be supplying the power to the road, and it'll be steering. Engstler's car, the front takes most of the braking effort and the steering effort, but the rear tyres transmit the power. So the tyres tend to wear more evenly. The front drive cars tend to wear the fronts a lot harder in the races. I mentioned earlier, Chevy Cruze is comfortably the best chassis in the business, and it really spreads the load superbly. End of lap 12. 3 to go here. And Huff and Mikulec still right in it for victory. Coronel trying to find a way past the car in front of him of Thiago Montero. That's the battle for 5th and 6th. Montero, just a little mistake there. Coronel couldn't get close enough to capitalise. Down into 3 and over the brow. 3A. It's a sort of scene of a major crash earlier on. And that camera view of the dangling rear bumper on Charles Eng's car has prompted the stewards to give him a black and orange flag, and that means he must call into the pit lane for repairs. So that will drop him out of a top 12 finish. He'll be disappointed with that. Damage not caused by any fault of his own. That's contact from behind. your front bumper is dinged, chances are you done it. If the back end is dinged, chances are you were done. Tarquini in third place, closing in now on Huff and Mikulits. Oriola done it, in fact, is the answer I'm being told. Pepe Oriola ran into the back of Charles Eng. Who's quick then in the top three? Well, the answer is they all are. Last lap round, Huff a 1:48.8, a 1:48.9, Mikulits a 1:49.0 for Tarquini, but the gap between the top three is still just 1.2 seconds. Tarquini 0.8 behind Mikulits. Mikulits at the line, 0.4 behind Huff, which is effectively 1 car length. End of lap 13, on to 14 of 15. Penultimate lap coming up then for Rob Huff. Now he's experienced enough a driver not to be intimidated or surprised, but just occasionally drivers make mistakes. Just occasionally cars catch them out. Thiago Monteiro there seems to be just easing away from Tom Coronel. And after a superb run through from 20th to his current 6th place, may just have burned up his used tyres too much. After qualifying 20th yesterday, I chatted to him this morning after breakfast, and he was saying, well, we're just going to save the fresh set of tyres that we might have used in the race to go to Japan. Tom spent a lot of time racing in Japan, Japanese Formula 3, Formula Nippon, their F2 rival, Formula 3000 rival, raced in Japanese touring cars, and he's looking forward to a big result at Suzuka a month from now. On older tyres, he might be on tyres that have probably seen their better days, but Coronel never seems to let that disappoint him. I might secretly suggest to the Roal team that they fiddle with his car in qualifying, leave him in the bottom of the top 20 and then hide all the good tyres. It seems to work well. Worked in Hungary, 20th to 6th in race 1. He went 20th to 8 in race 1 here. He's 20th to 6th already in race 2 here. So yeah, hide his tyres, stick him at the back of the grid, get him fired up. Let him know there's nothing to be lost from having a go. Sometimes it does weird things to a driver's mindset. Alex McDowell ahead of Tom Boardman and 26 Stefano D'Aste. 3 different cars, 3 different cornering lines, 3 different exits out of the chicane. D'Aste with the rear drive BMW, headlights on, just in case Boardman hadn't spotted him in the mirrors, as if you couldn't. Turns in a little tighter, but a little later. Boardman on the power earlier. Up the hill then for the final time. Here's the battle for the lead. And Huff, again, with Mikulits inches from his back bumper. To me, it just looked as Huff was a little slower than he needed to be up through corner 1 to 2. He cannot risk Mikulits getting alongside him. Smoke from the rear wheels as the front drive car brakes. Like every other car, the weight goes down onto the nose, and the unladen inside rear wheel picks up off the ground, trails smoke as it skids along the tarmac through the carousel. Listen. Oh, nice exit. Picks up the throttle early, Mikulits. He still thinks he can win this. Good run down here, filtering just a little more to the left than the Indy cars do as they get to the wide part of 7, rejoining the NASCAR cut through down to 7A. This is where the Cup cars come back in through the tight hairpin corner at 7A and on the rush down through the sweepers. It's not all over. Mikulits could win it. Huff probably will. But Norby might have other ideas. He's not going to lunge at the chicane. That would just result in a very nasty crash. But can he force a result out of this? There's Rob's wife. There's Norby's girlfriend. Everybody with everything crossed. Either way, it is going to be a big success for both men. Black flag and disqualification for Charles Eng, who has not come into the pits to answer the damage flag. And across the line, Rob Huff is going to win round 18 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Norbert Mikulits takes 2nd place, Gabriele Tarquini 3rd, and Alain Menu, big points for him after a disappointing race 1. He's in 4th place ahead of Coronel 5th, Monteiro in 6th. Tom got in front of Thiago on the last lap. So EVS guys, let's see if we can pick that one up on a replay. Well, there the Zengo Motorsport team will be very happy. The Norby fan club will be very happy. The few that are here in the sun of California and the rest that are propping their eyes open with matchsticks back home in Hungary in the dead of night, they will be thrilled. I'm sure saw Jazzy and Peter Huff, Rob's dad, and Jazzy, his new wife. He got married between the last two races, Brazil and here, as in fact did Darrell O'Young to his long-term fiancée. Apparently, despite all the race weekends that Darrell does, she does still remember what he looks like. So an added bonus. It wasn't a stranger coming down the aisle towards her. Well, the drivers continuing at race pace. They did not see a checkered flag, and as a result, they are continuing on. They have completed the requisite 15 laps. However, as in all things in life, never assume. And so Rob Huff and Norbert Mikelitz and Gabriele Tarquini are racing hard. That'll be particularly tough if anybody tangles and causes a lot of damage further back down the field post checkered flag. But again, for the second time of asking, Rob Huff comes to the line and in the starter's tower vigorously waved the checkered flag. So Rob Huff confirmed as our race winner. Now he'll be on the radio going, "Now can I stop?" Yes, okay, slow down, Rob, you are definitely our race winner. Well, congratulations to Rob Huff and Norbert Mikelitz. They were second and third in race one. They progressed to first and second in race two. Gabriele Tarquini moves up onto the third step of the podium in third position. And just to confirm, Ivan Muller, although he made up ground after his pit stop, we didn't see him, but he finished in 14th position. However, that is out of the points. But he did pick off half a dozen drivers in the remaining laps after his drive-through penalty. There he is coming back in just in front of Tom Chilton, who finished in 15th spot in his Ford Focus. Well, no further action being taken after the clash between Tarquini and Menu, which was in the first corner of race one. They finished third and fourth here. The black flag for Charles Eng means that he will be dropped from the results. Cars coming back into the pit lane, from whence they will be driven back around to the garage area. And Norbert Mikelitz, while looking out of the window from the race control tower, I can already see a whole host of fans moving down towards Victory Circle. And prominent among them, large Hungarian flags being waved. So Ivan Muller and Rob Huff, 315 points apiece, which is bizarrely the number of points left in the championship. So from a standing start, if everybody else retired, you could be a three-way champion if you started in Japan. Of course, it ain't going to happen, and that is the reason that he's not the runaway championship leader. And this time lunge at Franz Engstler. Now, in his defence, he may well say that Engstler was a little slow out of the corner and over the brow. But you've got to race the cars in the positions they're in, not in the positions you would have liked them to have been in. And there's no contest. Muller's move put Engstler out of the race. And if you ruin somebody else's race, generally, in the eyes of the stewards, you ruin your own as well. Whether it is by accident or design, pretty much, in the eyes of the law, doesn't come into it. It's the end result that decides whether it was a crime or not. In this case, Ivan Muller was hit with the penalty of a drive through the pit lane, and that dropped him out of the points. And that means that Rob Huff will leave Sonoma, California as the joint championship leader. But again, as we said, 315 points in the season still remain, and our championship leaders are tied. Well, there's no question, as Rob Huff comes into Victory Circle for the first time ever in his career, because they do not do this in Europe, Ivan Muller will be in a state of a degree of dudgeon, which for those who don't speak antique English is not great pleasure. Out gets Rob Huff. He will will be a very happy boy. Been a little off the radar this weekend, Rob Huff. Never popped up right at the top of the timesheets in testing or free practice. Yeah, you know, maybe getting married brought him a bit of extra luck. Not yet he isn't, but he may be at the end of this season. And he'd be just as worthy a champion as any in this field. Down there in the cap is Peter Huff, Rob's dad. There's Norbert Mikulits, Gabriele Tarquini following him in. Gabriele with a helmet design that was thought up overnight when he needed to change from a white helmet when he was in junior single-seater days. A friend of his was going to paint an old helmet for him and said, "What do you want on him?" He said, "Well, I always loved Spider-Man as a kid. Do a Spider-Man thing." And that's why he's got the web across the helmet. Well, we'll hear from Norby in a short while, but let's hear now from our race winner, Rob Huff.
A hard-fought victory there, and an important one as well, Rob. You are now joint leader in the championship.
Fantastic. That's exactly what we've been working towards. You know, we worked really well all weekend. As I said to you yesterday morning, we were struggling a bit, and again this morning. So to come away with a win in a second here is brilliant. You know, all credit to Ivan. He drove a belting first race, couldn't get near him. I want to say thank you to Norby Micheles, because he's such a fair guy. It's incredible. And my team, everyone here, my cousins and American family, everyone has come to Sonoma to this beautiful track. Wicked. Thank you very much.
Any reason why you decided to do an extra lap?
Because the checkered flag wasn't out. Simple as that. If the guys put the checkered flag out, we would have stopped. But the fact the three of us carried on racing, we just wanted to keep all you guys at home entertained.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Well, there you go. Often I confuse the drivers with what I say. This time they confused me with what they did. Well, there he is, Rob Huff, our race winner, posing for the victory lane shot. And Rob Huff victorious from Norbert Mikulits and Gabriele Tarquini. Aluminiu fourth, so good points from race 2, if not from race 1. Tom Coronel in 5th position from 20th on the grid ahead of Thiago Monteiro. And Alex Medal and Tom Boardman 2nd and 3rd in the Yokohama Trophy for the independent drivers ahead of Daste Engstler, the recovering Engstler, who might have ended up with another overall win here. He's won overall before in high drama at his home race in Germany at Oschersleben after a late race accident with Norbert Mikulits, in fact, in race 1. Damaged the front of his car, almost wrote it off, but he was on pole for race 2 and the team worked superhuman miracles to get him to the front. Mikulits also an outright race winner. And one of the great characters. He's such a quiet-spoken lad, but just never see him looking too down. So there's the championship. 3 race weekends, 6 races, 315 points to play with. Muller and Huff tied to the point. And Menu 48 behind. It looks like an insurmountable gap, but with a number of points still remaining, he just needs the others to have a bad weekend, as he has perhaps here, you'd argue, and he could be right back in it. Alex McDowell moves ahead of Mehdi Banani into 10th overall, and Tom Boardman ahead of Tom Chilton. Those are our point scorers in the overall Drivers' Championship. And this was round 18 of the World Touring Car Championship. Fabulous Sonoma Valley wine country, Sears Point, Sonoma Raceway. After the excitement of race 1, the crowd looking for more. They were not to be disappointed. Some of the drivers definitely were. BMWs started at the front of the field. Further back, things proved tricky. Franz Engstler tagged out of the lead by world champion Ivan Muller, who himself would be taken out of the points by a penalty. Mehdi Banani inherited the lead only for his car to spin him off. And then it was left to Chevrolet's Rob Huff to try and hang on in front, as those behind him lost their heads. Norbert Mikulits 3rd and 2nd. Huff 2nd and 1st here in the 2 races at Sonoma. Gabriele Tarquini being invited onto the podium as our 3rd place finisher, just off it in race 1. Makes it back on in race 2. He's 4th in the championship, so he again closes a fraction on Ivan Muller. Norbert Mikulits 6th in the championship coming in here. But he and Tom Coronel fighting a very tight battle. Michelitz in 2nd, and Rob Huff from Great Britain winning the race. And the new boss of Chevrolet marketing in Europe, Vijay Iyer, joins them as the manufacturer's representative. Our Yokohama Trophy winner again is Norbert Michelitz. He's already on the overall podium, so no need to call him up. We will then have the anthems then for our winning driver, Rob Huff of Great Britain, and our winning constructor, Chevrolet.
And on with your manufacturer, the anthem of the United States of America.
Well, a very proud Peter Huff, Rob's dad. Rob's mum and his sister are at home watching in the UK, but his aunt and uncle and cousins from the Bay Area here on hand. So lots of family representation to celebrate his victory with him. Steve Page, the GM and president of Sonoma Raceway, presenting the trophies to Gabriele Tarquini for 3rd place. To Norby for 2nd place, Norbert Michelitz. And resisted any ill-timed lunges on Rob Huff, for which Huff thanked him in the earlier interview. And our race winner here after 2nd place in race 1. It's a big point-scoring weekend for Rob Huff from Great Britain. Came here 2nd in the championship points, now goes away as our joint points leader. And for the winning manufacturer, Nick Kroll, president of ACUS, presenting the trophy to Vijay Iyer. First weekend at the races as head of Chevrolet and Chrysler PR. Chevrolet and Cadillac, I beg your pardon. And the Yokohama Independent Trophy being presented by Yokohama's senior VP to Norbert Michelitz. Come on, VJ, you've got to get in the shot, that's the deal. And then you get the trophy up, and then you run away from the champagne.
And you know what's next? The champagne!
There you go, that's the way it works. And the crowd are, A, not below the podium, and B, at a safe distance away. So the drivers will contain their enthusiasm for hosing down members of the viewing public and reserve it for their teams later, I'm sure. Well, we'll hear from our top 3 in just a few moments. Get them going through into the interview room and learn their thoughts. Be good to hear from Gabriele as well. 3rd place on the grid here, on the final finishing podium. Confirmation then of the drivers' standings. Muller and Huff tied for the lead as they head to Japan. Menu 48 behind. Tarquini over 100 points adrift now. Coronel and Michelitz certainly out of the running for the title, and you have to say realistically Tarquini is as well. But there will be lots more at stake. For all of them, it'll be about going out and winning races. And in the end, if you win races, titles tend to follow. If you spend your whole time thinking about a title, you tend not to end up winning the races. So onwards now to Suzuka in Japan. It's 4 weeks from now, 21st of October, the next encounter for the World Touring Car Championship. Then they go to Shanghai in China in early November to round out the season mid-November in the Chinese enclave of Macau, around the 4-mile street circuit that combines fast, flat-out motoring with sinuous hillside racing. determination to test every driver. Rob Huff fastest in the first sector, Coronel in the second sector, and fastest in the third, Ivan Muller, who set the fastest race lap. No points for that, no points for lap led. Only points for being there at the checkered flag. And Ivan Muller was not out of the points in race 2, having won race 1. So you'd have to say a mixed weekend, but he has already racked up his 8th win of the season as we complete round 18. Our race winner is Rob Huff. He's with Ben Constantures. Let's hear his thoughts.
Rob, a tremendous victory. A difficult first few laps. Talk us through those.
Yeah, I mean, I got a good start, but I had to lift off because Alex McDowell in front of me had a really poor start. And I knew Gabriele was going to be there because he's always there on the starts. I thought Ivan might try and come on the outside of me, which he did. But then as we were just picking our way, he was making the gaps. I was following him through. It was all kind of going well. And then unfortunately he had a bit of contact with Enksler. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it obviously resulted in him getting a drive-through penalty, which is a real shame. But, you know, I've won the race. I'm very happy with that. My team fully deserved that win. You know, we've struggled, as I've said, all weekend. And then to come back and win the second race, got to be happy with that.
After the drive-through for Ivan, you were left out in the lead of the race, but as opposed to race 1 where you looked like the fastest man, you looked a little bit slower leading the race in this one.
I think I was just a bit nervous and a bit cautious. You know, I know Norby's a very, very fair driver, and fully congratulations to him. 2 wins this weekend, and he's driven beautifully. But yeah, you know, he was behind me. He wasn't making any silly moves. You can always rely on Norby not to do anything crazy. And yeah, I mean, basically he kind of supported me to the end, really. I just had enough of a gap on him for him not to be able to make a move. But the Chevy was flying this weekend. It's been great.
And now, of course, you're on joint points. What does that mean for the last 3 races?
I'm not even thinking about it. Just maximum attack for the last 3 rounds. 2 of the circuits, obviously, I know, and I've done well on in the past, especially the last one of the year. So as long as we go there, you know, with a good shot at the championship, I'll be very happy.
Thanks, Rob.
Cheers.
Well, a little bit of relief there at the end of the race, mixed with jubilation as well for Rob Huff. A very timely win. It is only his 4th of the season, and he needs to rack up a few more. He's had a lot of seconds and thirds, but they don't pay as much as winning. Let's hear then from Norbert Mikulits on the podium again in race 2.
Norbert, an incredibly strong weekend for you and the BMW, best BMW by far. In this one, you looked the fastest. Was there a chance of victory?
I think yes. I was trying to set up a strategy inside the car, because when Ivan had to leave for the drive-through, I knew that Rob's not going to take much risk. So I tried to push hard, but he was still fast enough to stay in front. So I think P1 would have been possible, but only with taking too much risk. So I'm happy with P3, P2. It's one of my best overall weekend results, so I think I can be happy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, it's definitely his best overall race weekend result this season. I think he might well be right. I think he might have scored more points here even than in Hungary when he won earlier in this season. Well, let's hear now from Gabriele Tarquini in 3rd place. He's back on the podium.
Gabriele, that must have been a pretty eventful race for you. You started way back in the field, and the early laps would have been pretty hectic. Tell us exactly how they were from inside the cockpit.
Yeah, it was very hot. First few laps, it was overtaking people. I managed very good the first 2-3 laps. And after, I had the pace to follow the 2 in front of me, but unfortunately, after 5 laps, after the safety car, I had a very strange electronical problem, so misfiring with engine and also no info coming from my display, so I don't know nothing, gear shifting lights, so it was not a lucky weekend, because after the qualifying I expected a little bit stronger in race. I had the pace, but unfortunately the first race I had a suspension bent after contact with Alain, so, but I scored points, so it's good.
Thank you.
Well, like Alain Menu, who was the other front row starter in race 1, he wasn't great for Gabriele Tarquini. They both perversely, from lower grid positions, had a much better time in race 2. Tarquini ending up on the podium yet again. And that is his 6th podium finish of the season, his 4th 3rd place. He's had 2 2nd places and a win in Slovakia. Well, Ivan Muller and Rob Huff still lead the championship chase, and Ivan Muller needs A big weekend to wrestle himself away from Rob Huff, but the Chevrolet driver that needs it most is Alain Menu in third place in the points. And that then is about all we have from the World Touring Car Championship here, making its first ever touchdown on North American soil. And what a place to come to, the beautiful, scenic, fast and twisty Sonoma Raceway in wine country north of San Francisco. California dreaming, more of this please, as the FIA World Touring Car Championship continues. We head next to Japan, then to China and Macau to round out the season. But this will be a weekend for many to treasure and remember. And some, unfortunately, will wish to forget. Not the welcome, not the scenery, not the racetrack, but maybe the results. If you join us next time on the World Touring Car Championship. 4 weeks from now, we race at Suzuka, Japan. Thank you for joining us on behalf of the whole production team here and the World Touring Car drivers and teams for the warm welcome to Sears Point and for another fantastic race weekend. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time out. I'm Martin Haven. Goodbye for now.